Right, let's get more now on that breaking news. The government has sanctioned Roman Abramovic. Here to help us break down exactly what this means for Chelsea is sports lawyer Stephen Taylor-Heath. Stephen, a very good morning to you. Thank you for coming on to try and help explain exactly what is going on. I guess the first question that might be on a lot of Chelsea fans' minds is whether or not this means Abramovich will still be able to actually sell the club.
Well, I'm digesting the news at the same time as you are, but the short answer would seem to be no, he can't. The freezing of an asset means literally the freezing of an asset. If you're talking about a yacht, then obviously that's a physical item that effectively means he can't move it, he can't sell it. Chelsea is obviously not a physical item. There's lots of organic parts to the club, but that's why it seems that the government has issued what it calls a special licence, which effectively means that the club can continue trading and operating based on its current commitments and its current obligations. So, for example, I've seen commentary that says that the current season ticket holders can attend games because they've already contracted with the club. Spectators and what have you who want to buy tickets for games can't, because that's a new transaction. That's at one level. New players would be another new contract. Even potentially new contracts with existing players could be new contracts. And clearly, what would be a new contract would be a sale of the club. So, yeah, in short, it seems that based on this freezing order, no, he can't sell the club. Now, if the government is prepared to give a special licence in relation to the operation of the club, then the question is whether they would give an additional special licence in relation to the sale of the club. But based on the terms of this freezing order, no, he can't.
This is all going to be hugely worrying for Chelsea supporters, Stephen, isn't it? I mean, what options does it leave Chelsea with? I guess, like you say, they just need to carry on in their current guise and not make any changes, really.
That's right. As I say, the special licence effectively says that whoever are your current employees of the club, they can continue to be paid. Whoever are the season ticket holders can continue to go to the games. You can continue as you are, but you can't do anything new. Now, a sale of the club would be something new, assuming that there hasn't been a contract already in place for the sale of the club. One thing that I had mentioned with you previously is that the scenario where the owners of the club can't actively sell a club can be dealt with by way of the appointment of some form of an administrator who effectively has legal title to sell the club. But if you want to sell the club doesn't sell itself. The club is sold by the owner, and so somebody would have to come in as a third party to effectively take over the legal title of the owner in order to sell the club.
You may not be able to answer this, Stephen, but you're saying about sort of current season ticket holders could be able to go, but they couldn't sell more tickets. But it makes you wonder about away fans then. What's going to happen? They're going to be able to sell tickets to away supporters supporting the other team? How does that work?
Well, as you say, it's a movable feast at the moment, but a sale of a ticket to enter the ground to a home fan or an away fan is still a new transaction. So, in theory, if you're not allowed to make any new transactions, then the freezing order itself says that you're not allowed to do business with somebody that's based in the UK or is a UK citizen. So, under the strictest terms of the freezing order, you couldn't sell tickets to away fans either, which I know may seem a little bit crazy, but at the end of the day, there's obviously a reason why these sanctions are being imposed, and there's a bigger picture to this, and so. Based on the terms of the freezing order, it would seem that you couldn't actually sell those tickets, hospitality tickets or anything like that, other than purely the deal you've already done, which is the deal with the season ticket holders to have their season ticket seat.
And Stephen, you mentioned this prospect of a potential third party coming in terms of an administrator, if this club was to go on to be sold. And I guess it is all ifs and buts at the moment. But if that were to happen, would Abramovich actually ever see any of this money?
Well, that's the whole point about the administrator coming in, that there will be a reason why the owner of the club is not able to sell the club. Normally, this is in an insolvency type situation where effectively the club's insolvent and somebody's appointed by the court to take over legal control of the club. We're in uncharted territory here, but if somebody was to come in and have legal title to sell the club, then the proceeds of that sale would effectively normally be distributed to people that are owed money by the club, because it's an insolvency type situation. Here, you're not in an insolvency type situation, so in theory, that money could perhaps go to the owner. This is softened considerably by the fact that Mr. Abramovic has already said that he isn't actually expecting to profit personally from the sale, and that money would go to this philanthropic trust for the victims of the war in Ukraine. So it may be that the terms of reference for whoever comes in to sell the club would effectively transfer those monies to a new company set up for that purpose. However, I can only stress that at this moment in time, the government will have had in mind the effect of this freezing order, and so at first blush they will know that the effect of this freezing order is that Chelsea can't be sold.
It makes you wonder as well, Stephen, doesn't it, how this could affect the price of the club. I mean, the price being touted around has been £3 billion. Will this affect that, and who's going to make a decision on now what bid may or may not be accepted?
Well, as I say, the club primarily can't sell itself. The club is an asset, and that asset is owned by Mr. Abramovic's company. So if you've got an administrator, as I say, who comes in to look after the club, what they're trying to do is sell the club on the basis that the monies that they get in for the sale of the club can be put towards creditors of the club. You don't really have this type of situation here. If you've got 4 or 5 people that are bidding for the club, then in a normal world you would sell the club to whoever the highest bidder is, assuming that highest bidder can also satisfy the Premier League with regard to the ongoing financial commitments of the club. Because as part of any sale, the Premier League has to firstly approve the buyer, and they have to approve that the buyer has sufficient funds to be able to fund the club going forward. If you've got 4 or 5 rival bids, then I do agree with you that in essence, if you've got a license to basically take over and sell the club, how do you choose which is the best sale? Because you haven't got the same mindset as the owner in making that commercial decision.